You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, the massiveness that can only be Kumeu's Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival. And we shed range Chev Man and CMC racer Paul Boden. First up though, those good folk from Maguire's sent us to Wellington in search of Bill Spear's new meets old XW Wagon.
1970 XW Falcon station wagon, but it has a mid-90s Falcon living inside it. Basically, I bought a donor car, unplugged everything, and put it back inside that car as it fits. When I was a kid, I used to pull everything apart. How does it work? Why does it work? And that led on when I left school. I did an apprenticeship, did some rebuilds and restoration work. Led myself out of the tools, if you will, onto other jobs, etc. And got the hankering to have myself a nice car one day, and slowly, as I could afford to, put that together. Matter of finding the right car for yourself as well to start with. The right car to start with that's not too far gone or too much rust.
Enter one XW Wagon. The right car at the right price and the perfect host for Bill's grand plan.
Older technology is great, it does its job, but there's nothing like fuel injection. Lean in the window, turn the key. No choke, no mucking around. You don't have to retune the carburetor, you don't have to do much to them, you just drive them and enjoy them. Mid-90s Falcon, a 302, fuel injected, 4-speed transmission, disc rear end, electric windows, electric tailgate window as well. I've integrated the newer dash into the old dash face, so all the instrumentation is there, steering column, so all the lockable column is there. I took a $3,000 car and drew out a heap of parts and I used as much of it as I really could, down to things like the mounts for the seats. I took them out, ground them down, used the original buttons, welded them onto some plates and mounted them underneath the vehicle. It's use as much as you can of it. Wiper motor, you name
it. From the outside, the XW doesn't give too much away at a glance. A nice weekend cruiser. Perhaps, dare we say it, even a bit understated. But take a minute, and it's the details that'll keep you busy. AC, power everything, this is a very clever car that hides a whole lot of late model Falcon in plain sight, plus a few tricks you might find at the local Japanese car wrecker. But it seems, while a whole lot changed in 25 years at the Ford factory, a few things stayed the same.
It's interesting going from a mid-90s car, taking things out of it and putting them into that, how close they still are in respect of like the floor pan pressings are still very similar, the same patterns, and the line where the front of the car, the chassis on the front half of the vehicle to the station wagon or sedan or whatever, where that joins in the floor, it's got the same line. And that made things a lot easier.
The same could be said for the timely acquisition of a full workshop manual for the donor car, taking the guesswork from the late model's electrical spaghetti. Bill was able to retrofit much of the loom, ditching a couple of circuits like ABS and cruise control. Uprated suspension and brakes were fitted post-op, and the XW emerged from the whole ordeal a very different animal.
It's well-mannered, would be the word, and encouraging to drive. I keep finding myself driving it faster than I probably should because it feels good on the road. The only thing between that and the new vehicle would be the wind noise because of things like drip rails and that. Other than that, it's lovely on the road. Better than I could have imagined, to be honest. Really impressed with how it's come up. Even the guys that have driven it for doing the compliance, they've come back with a smile on their face, and one of them was a Holden driver.
But perhaps the biggest smile still belongs to Bill. A grand plan, sure, but one very successfully executed, and even more impressively, mostly owner-built too.
It's all the things you can't see though that I've done. You know, I had a go at doing some of the panel, but that was never going to work. I was, you know, chasing welds around it. That wasn't me, and I can't paint either. But like I says, everything you can't see, well, only I've done it. I've brought it all together. It's a neat feeling, you know. It's my first major build, and it's come up pretty shiny. I'm happy with it. Only got its ticket 30 odd days ago. I've put 1,200 Ks on it. Now I'm using it. It's great fun to use.
Okay, thanks to our mates at Niedercar, we're headed for the Wild West. The 24th annual Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival, or simply Kumeu as it's known to its fans, has made itself just a bit of an icon out West Auckland way. Sprawled out across the Kumeu showgrounds, the festival is a combination of indoor and outdoor displays, supported by trade stands, a swap meet, and plenty of other stuff to keep you entertained for a weekend. And a weekend it was for many, with camping on site and Friday's setup day pretty much an unofficial show day. Present for a big chunk of the festival's 24 years, Alistair's Holden.
It's a 1977 Tirana hatchback. It's got a Chevy 355 in it with a 671 supercharger. It pushes out somewhere, it's never been dynoed, but it's on paper should be around 600, 650 horse, somewhere around there. Built in 1999, we finished it, and it's been at Kumeu Car Show every year since then, so yeah, it's part of the furniture. I had one before this one, and I always wanted to sort of do this to it, but it was too nice a car to chop up, so went searching for a wreck when I found this one. It was actually a brand new body shell, so it was just literally a bare body, but it had its problems along with it, trying to source parts, but yeah, I just always wanted to do that to one, so yeah.
Alistair spends his days at North Shore's Real Rides, but this Tirana was built right at home.
Yeah, it was good doing everything in the garage. Yeah, the whole car was, apart from the outside paint, the body on the outside was the only time I left the garage to get that done.
Another Kumeu regular, the Miniature Petrolhead Club. All the thrills of hot rodding, but on a smaller scale.
We make scale model cars, hot rods, any sort of automotive vehicle. The club's been going for about 16 years. I've been a member for about 12, and we've got about 60 odd members throughout New Zealand. You can build sort of a box stock standard out of the box kit set in about sort of 8 to 10 hours, or you can spend 50, 60, 100 hours on something depending on what it is and the complexity of it. A lot of work involved in getting them to look really, really good. But the new kit sets, they're a lot easier to build, and you get a great result.
And while they may be a little lighter on the wallet and garage space, the builds share a lot with their real-life counterparts.
It's great fun chopping roofs on cars and pancaking the hoods and swap engines out, lower the suspension, all that sort of stuff. Everything that the custom car guys do, we do as well, just on a smaller scale. Most of our members have got full-size cars as well. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and we actively seek new members.
He might be a regular, but 2018's Kumeu was a lot more memorable for a young gent named Rob Bright. Roped into giving a hand with an unveil, you can imagine Rob was more than a little surprised to find his own car underneath.
Mate, I was walking through going, oh, such and such, and then everyone was just, it was weird. Had no idea what was going on until I got called up, and I was like, still didn't even know. I was standing next to my car and just no idea. Yeah.
For this tight family, keeping the bucket build under wraps was quite the challenge.
It was very hard. I mean, I've been going to work in the mornings doing one job or two and then rushing away working till midnight and 10 o'clock and stuff, and Robert's been moaning because we work together, so he's been complaining to his mother that I'm not at work, and yeah, so it's been hard. I mean, he had bits and pieces, and we talked about colours, and he talked about, silver would be a good colour for a T-bucket, and it's not as common as a lot of other colours for T-buckets, so we had a rough idea of what it was going to look like, but still a few bits we have to iron out. It's just about ready, as you can see, bits missing off the back and stuff, but it was a mad push just to get it here at all, and it was a lot of people put in a lot of effort to get it to where it is.
it'd be safe to assume Father's Day this year may have gone up a notch or two.
Should be pretty good, I think. Yeah. I don't think I'll have to pay for any beer this weekend, put it that way.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. We're back at Kumeu, or if we're being formal, the 24th Annual Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival in West Auckland. Bad weather has had a couple of cracks at the show in recent years, and 2018 was forecast to cop a bit of rain. Turned out to be quite the opposite, in fact. But East Bay Rod's indoor show still proved to be popular. Respite from the sun and an impressive collection of pre-49 hot rods to mark the club's 50th year.
Seems like a long time, but it seems like yesterday in some ways. It just flies by, doesn't it?
East Bay Rods was founded in 1968 by 8 hot rodders with a thing for the pre-49 look. The cars would have been a bit newer then. Since, they've hosted a number of successful events, both national and provincial, and these days the club boasts over 80 members. 50 years have passed, but that dedication to the pre-49 hot rod hasn't changed a bit.
That's why we started the club in the first place, because the other clubs catered for a more vast range of cars, and we wanted to stick with the traditional American type vehicles, so yeah.
I think that is one of the highlights of this year, is being able to show the public, what sort of cars that we're into. So far, so good. Back in the early days, you could buy cars, quite cheap, do a slight modification to them, and they're on the road. Nowadays, because of the age of the cars, we try to look after them a little bit better. So hence, the quality of the car just keeps on going up and up.
It's amazing. We've still got 3 of the original members are still involved with the club, which is pretty good out of the original 8. We've only lost 1, and the other people are still sort of in contact with us anyway, so it's pretty good after 50 years.
Hard at work all weekend was well-known local pinstriper and custom painter Chaz Allen.
Today we are pinstriping hot rods, motorbikes, and anything that sort of people want to bring into us. Helmets, motorbike tanks, we get all sorts. Out-of-towners, being able to get a little bit of artwork that I probably couldn't travel to. And yeah, it's a good chance for me to display what we can do with the automotive painting.
For Chaz, applying his craft on location presents a few new considerations.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we've got weather, people, dust, rain, wind, and yeah, not just being in my little habitat is is pretty hard work, but we get it done. People will just turn up with their hot rods, I sort of go over with them, colours, combos, how big, and a budget, and then away we go. Yeah, we've been doing it maybe 9-10 years now. The airbrushing thing was kicking off, and I just wanted to go the traditional hand-painted way. Now it's an absolute fad, man. It's everyone's. It's cool. They all want traditional, original stuff. They'd rather pay a little bit more money and say no to vinyl. Amazing. Yeah, man. The kick that I get out of when people turn up and see their hot rods. As an apprentice car painter, I couldn't imagine being a custom painter and pinstriper ever. So now living the dream, guys.
And with the festival chalking up 24 not out, make sure you mark a Kumeu size circle in your 2019 calendar to see how they celebrate quarter of a century. One thing's for sure, it'll be in style. Okay, thanks to Mount Shop, it's time to rate us some sheds. This week, we're in the Wellington High Ground to drop in on CMC wheelman and general chef guy, Paul Boden.
It was probably when I was back in school. I used to hang out with a guy that was into cars, and for me, that's when it started. Chevrolets was his brand of choice, and I guess I liked them as well, and 55s was sort of the car of the day, and just really fell in love with them. So things have changed obviously over the years. Got into a wider band of years, sort of now 50s and 60s, and Chevrolet still, the odd Dodge thrown in there for good measure, but yeah, it's all about Chevs for me, yeah. People have said that I've got an obsession, but I'd like to think of it as more of a hobby. But yeah, like it's sort of, what I do day in, day out, apart from, my working life, I suppose. I spend a lot of time working on cars, driving cars, or, but yeah, cars are really my life, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, 50s and 60s were the cars of the day when I was growing up, impressionable, and that's just what stuck with me. Lines of the cars are cool, the 50s and 60s cars, and there's just something about them. Everybody can associate with them, whether they're driven on the street or on the track. People know what they are, and sometimes it's the sound, but more often it's the look.
And there's little doubt they look and sound good hurtling down a track at speed. And speed has a noticeable influence on Paul's world. Not a huge surprise when he sits in the president's seat for the Central Muscle Cars Club. But even the street stuff is pretty tough.
The fast part, it sort of started with some drag racing a few years ago in a 55 Chev. Before that, it was actually in a road-driven Camaro, and then the 55, and then sort of more recently, it's the Enzed Central Muscle Car series. Yeah, I've been in the club for 6 years now, 5 years racing. And I guess the draw card for me is obviously the cars, but the people. And the more entrenched in the club that you get, the more you get to know people, and it's just a great bunch of people, whether it's the drivers or their team, crew, families, wives, whatever. It's just a great bunch, and it's very social. People put the helmet on and get serious at that point, but at the end of the day, people are racing for a chocolate fish. It's about having fun. You do what you do all day, all week, and then it's a bit of an outlet, to go and have some fun at the end of the day. So, like I say, when the helmets come on, it gets a little serious, but when the helmets come off, it's all fun after that. So, yeah, it's good. Yeah, wasted wages racing. I think the name says it all. When I bought the 55 drag car out of South Dakota, actually it had a tiny little sticker on it that said wasted wages. I thought, yep, that's exactly what it means, and that's the name that we've adopted for our racing team. So wasted wages is what it's about. We've learnt a lot over the process, of the 5 years that we've been racing. We've built a couple of cars ourselves, and in recent times bought a car, and it's certainly a learning process. There's a lot of time and I guess money goes into making a good car, reliable car, but it's just the learnings that you have along the way, and making sure that you remember that stuff going forward as well. But yeah, it's a money pool as well that you have to have, I guess, to make things go fast. So yeah.
The Chev allegiance is most obvious in the number of Camaros on site, but Paul's not afraid to wander a bit off the beaten path either, be it the less common, for New Zealand anyway, Chevelle or the Novas, or even roaming as far as Mopar for the right case. Just don't mention the blue oval sighting downstairs.
Well, the Dodgers are cool. I have to say the Ford's not mine, it's Jen's car. It's probably the chink in the armour, I guess, for me. Chevelle, there's a few in New Zealand, but not that many. And it was just something that I'd always liked as a kid growing up and had a bit of a passion for. The Nova, and it was probably built out of, there wasn't another one in the class for Central Muscle Cars at the time. It's a cool car and, but it's a bit different than your sort of average muscle car, if you like. I like the lines, it was made the same year that I was, 1963, so that's probably another reason that, I went ahead with it, so yeah.
Space might be starting to run a little low, but that includes a couple of future projects stockpile. More Chevs, strangely enough. Between those and the track, Paul's caught himself a hobby that he's in for the long haul.
It's something completely different from what I do day to day in my day job, and it's an out. Like you're in your shed or, out of your sort of home environment, I suppose, and you're right, it's an out completely, so it's totally different, yeah. And then there's the buzz of, going fast as well, yeah. The petrol addiction is it's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, but it's definitely one worth pursuing, that's for sure.
Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.